is that we played Splatoon 3 through the world premiere today. So
We did.
I have played a bunch of Splatoon 2. Obviously, we didn't have any hands-on with Splatoon 3, but we played the world premiere. And Swinny's a bit of a relatively newbie with Splatoon. So I'm kind of keen to hear what you thought of it, and then I'll share my thoughts as well.
Cool. Well, I guess if I'm starting off, then yeah. So I am very new to this series. I probably only played Splatoon 2. I think it was a free play weekend.
Yeah, it was a free weekend, I think.
And I probably only played it for maybe an hour and a half max. But that was enough to get a taste of what the game is in terms of just how the flow of the game felt and everything like that. So I'm still very new. So what I really wanted to, I guess, get out of this world premiere, demo essentially that they had out today, was just to basically say, okay, well, is this a game that I would be willing to spend, a full price on as a new release, or a game that I'd be interested in playing as an ongoing thing? And look, it's great fun, of course. It's Splatoon. No surprise that it's a really, really well-made game, and it's just, it's definitely very unique in its style in Nintendo's catalog, but it's still got that Nintendo charm to it, which I think, is it's very hard to replicate. It's something almost inherent in the stuff that they put out. But look, yeah, I had a blast. How about you, what's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think as much as people will say, and we've got to also be clear that we only got to play Turf Wars, so that's the multiplayer content, the main multiplayer content, and then also it was a part of the global Splatfest, so it's the new tricolor Turf War style. So we'll come to those things, but we didn't play the single player. We didn't play all the other content. We didn't play the new mini game, separate game, multiplayer game that is in the content. So we can't judge those things. And from my perspective, as much as people criticize Splatoon 2 as being Splatoon 1.5, so far, I could totally imagine people making and mounting the exact same argument that this is Splatoon 2.5. But honestly, I'm all for it. It's been 5 years since Splatoon 2 came out. I think it's a massive shot in the arm for the game. There'll be a whole new set of weapons, maps, everything like that, sort of new coat of paint, which honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. Because if you look at the Call of Duty sort of, series, every year there's a new game that comes out, reinvigorates the community, does gangbusters. I'm fully expecting this game to sell well, to do well, Japan get really behind it. And everything I've seen so far just seems very, very good. And there's some changes, albeit I'd love if they go deeper. There's some very critical things that they've changed in Splatoon 3 that to me, were really kind of, impinging on me actually enjoying the game, going forward. I remember when you jumped on to play Splatoon 2, there's no proper lobby system at all in Splatoon 2. And it's almost embarrassing, as someone who loves Splatoon. And then it's oh, come and play Splatoon. And then it's how do I join your team? It's oh, well, no, because we don't have 4 people exactly. We kind of can't do that. And you're what the hell? What do you mean? Isn't it like Rocket League, or isn't it like Halo 3, which we played 10 years ago? It's oh, no. And I think this goes a lot closer to where we need to be. And I think it's past the threshold of useful, but it's not even as good as Halo 3. Let's be clear, right? So there is a pseudo, from what we see in how it worked in the world premiere, there is a pseudo, party system, but it's attached to the game mode that you're playing. So we even experienced that when we were playing Turf War, and I'm oh, let's flip out to go play the tricolor Turf War, which is a part of the Splatfest, which I really wanted to check out. And it was there's no way to do it. You basically have to kill it and then create a new room. So it's just, I don't know, it just feels very archaic from those perspectives. But yeah, the new tricolor Splatfest is awesome. It didn't work the way I thought it would. When we jumped in, we thought it was going to be 4. So you get to pick of one of 3 teams. We thought it was going to be all the 3 teams against each other, 4v4v4, with the middle team just getting decimated in the middle. And it's actually 2 of the reps of the losing team, one of the losing teams, another 2 reps of a different losing team, and then 4 of the winning team in the middle. Now, having played a lot more of that, even with you, Swinny, and without, I think it would be so unbalanced if it was 4 on either side attacking the flanks of the folks in the middle. Because even with 2 on either side, I do think an organized team, it's very hard to win. it's very hard to win if you're in the middle. Like if the two people on the sides are organized, because like they shouldn't be attacking each other at all, and they've just got like a starting position of like they can rank up the points pretty quickly. So, but it's an awesome mode. I love the new mode, and I think it's really smart actually that it's only the Splatfest that you can play the tricolor mode. It won't wear out. I'll be looking forward to whenever the next Splatfest happens. This time it was rock paper scissors. I picked paper, so then Swinny copied because we'd be on the same team then at least. And I don't know, yeah, like it's gonna finish at 10 p.m. Australian time, so who knows who's gonna win. But the other thing that I should mention is with Splatoon 2, Australia was a part of the Japanese region, which was kind of like a bit annoying because it never felt like it was really snappy, the latency of the game, but you'd always get a game. Whereas this one, it's Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and South Korea. That's our region, which is very weird. But I'm really struggling to find a game sometimes. Like I waited 10 minutes and took a screenshot, and I couldn't get a game. So I don't know. I'm very worried that it's going to have the same sort of. It seems better so far than netcode, but not dramatically better, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, it's one thing I wasn't sure about. So we played the 3-color Splatfest mode, and we were always playing the same map. Was that just because the world premiere was just really limited to that single map? Was that the case, or?
I think there are other maps for it, but one thing with the Splatfest is they typically have a specific map that they use for the Splatfest. So they've had that in the past. Like they'll have special maps that they use. So I think it's more of an element of that than anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it so far. Like, I don't know why I'm very compelled to try to max rank my character in the Splatfest, even though it doesn't carry over into the main game. I know you're not like across all the details of Splatoon, but when you play the Splatfest, you actually get like these clamshell things that you can then alter your gear. So it's actually worthwhile completing the Splatfest because your gear has like passive buffs that you can actually like improve how you play. So yeah, like, but it doesn't even carry over, so there's no point in me worrying about it. But I don't know, I'm very compelled to do it. But I'm looking forward to it. I've taken the day off to play Splatoon 3, so when it comes out in about 2 weeks' time. So yeah, I'm really pumped for it, man.
Yeah, great fun. I still think I'm a little on the fence on whether or not it's a game I would pick up and play all the time. And part of it's not so much the game itself, because I think the game is a great one for that. I think it's more just my playing habits these days. It's just not. It's something where I've just got to justify whether or not it's worth dropping that amount of money for a game that I don't know if I played all the time. Whereas, so I think maybe seeing how the single player stuff kind of pans out in reviews and stuff is something that I'm interested to see, because while I know that's not the main focus of the game, maybe that could draw me in and kind of be a good companion piece against the actual online multiplayer. So.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to playing the new mini games and the other sort of components of the game as well. So for me, it's like super happy that like how the game feels and everything like that. It's not dramatically different. It feels very much like, you could almost argue it feels like Splatoon 1.75 or 1.9 or something like that. But again, I remember playing Splatoon on the Wii U, and it's a freaking awesome game, man. Like, they kind of hit it out of the park on day one with that, and it's not a shock to me that it's one of the biggest franchises now. Like, even though it's Nintendo's newest franchise, and you've got 3 games in the space of about 7 years now, some ballpark like that, 7-8 years, which is kind of a bit un-Nintendo like for the grand scheme of it, but yeah, like I'm really looking forward to it. I love the art style, the music, all of it was there in the world premiere, and I don't know, like depending on when we finish up the show, I think it's a long one though, I might try to sneak in a couple of extra games before the 10 p.m. cutoff tonight.
You're probably going to be playing the next segment while I'm talking about stuff.
Yeah, I should actually. If I was Mike, I would definitely do that. I'd definitely do that. Speaking of which, that's a good segue. Mike, pay attention. I throw it to you, Swinny.